好，同学们，大家晚上好。我们今天的海外研究生院校语音分享会的活动呢，现在正式开始。在我们的今天的直播里，我们有幸请到了4所大学的海外招生官，他们分别来自 Fordham University、Gabelli School of Business、福特汉姆大学加贝利商学院，以及 Wake Forest University 维克森林大学，还有 Singapore University of Social Sciences 新月社科大学，以及 Suffolk University 萨福克大学的招生官老师，为我们大家带来这场干货满满的分享活动。在今天的直播当中呢，同学们不仅可以了解到每所大学不同优秀的专业和项目，也可以了解到海外学习生活和工作的真实面貌。接下来我们将依次邀请大学的各大代表上台进行逐一的分享，每所大学会有15分钟的时间介绍自己的学校。我们也会在活动中呢向大学提出我们收集到的大家最感兴趣的一些问题，这些问题主要包括国外的学习、工作和生活这3个方面。当然我们也非常欢迎同学们呢向我们这些经验丰富的招生官老师提出属于你们自己的问题。好了，那么话不多说，就让我们先邀请第1所学校的招生官老师上台分享。首先我们要邀请到的是来自 Wake Forest University 的维克森林大学的 John 老师。 Let's welcome John. Hi, John.
I should say good evening.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hi. Hello to all my friends in China. Really quick, my twin daughters wanted to come say hello.
Oh, hi, you guys are so cute. Hi.
All right, I'm ready to begin when you are.
Okay, you can just start it.
Okay, so good evening and thank you for coming. I'm John White, the Executive Director of Admissions for the Master's Programs at Wake Forest University, located here in the United States. Next slide, please. So where is Wake Forest? We get this question a lot, especially from international students. We are located along the east coast of the United States, so we face the Atlantic Ocean. Wake Forest itself is located in the city of Winston-Salem, which is in western North Carolina. You'll see some blue arrows I included. Raleigh, which is the capital and a big tech center in North Carolina. Charlotte in the lower left, which is the second largest financial center in the world now outside New York City. And then, of course, Winston-Salem, which is about an hour away. We live in a very amenable part of the United States, very safe, very friendly, very cost-effective, too, especially for a graduate student. And the weather here is really exceptional. Our average temperature is 70 degrees. Next slide, please. These are some sights and sounds from Winston-Salem. You'll see we are the home of Krispy Kreme donuts. I think that's a brand that everybody recognizes. We have lots of outdoor spaces, wonderful dining, bars, and restaurants, and lots of parks and mountains to explore. And these are some pictures both from campus and from the community. Next slide, please. And this is some pictures of our new downtown campus. So in addition to our main campus, about 10 minutes from our campus downtown, we have created a new area called the Innovation Center, where we've launched the School of Engineering. Our medical school has moved there, and we have our PA school there as well. Again, you'll see lots of pictures of people outdoors, because being outdoors is a big part of the Winston-Salem experience. One thing I also want to mention is that Winston-Salem is considered a mid-sized city in the United States. Now, mid-sized in China, I know, means about 6 to 8 million people. Mid-sized in North Carolina means about 500,000 people. So we have all the amenities of a big city without a lot of the usual hassles. We don't have a lot of traffic. We don't have a lot of air pollution. Next slide, please. This is Farrell Hall, the business school home. We have service about 850 students here in total. So our programs are small by design, so we can provide high levels of student support inside the classroom, outside the classroom, with program resources, and with career search resources, which I'll talk about in a moment. Next slide. Okay, so we have 3 main programs that I'd like to discuss. Our Masters of Science in Accountancy, which is STEM designated. Our Masters of Science in Management, which is our general management business degree, very similar to the first year of an MBA degree, and it also has an MBA pathway. And then our Masters of Science in Business Analytics, which is also STEM designated. Next slide. I talked about our programs being small by design and intent, and that is intentional. And you'll see this here in this wheel, where the student is at the epicenter of everything we do at Wake Forest. You've got my team in the left quadrant, enrollment management, admissions. Across the way, you've got program faculty and leadership. Oftentimes our Chinese students especially note that the faculty-student relationship is very different in the United States and very different at a school like Wake Forest. Very engaging, high levels of faculty support and direct faculty engagement. Up top, you've got Integrative Student Services, and that's a staff member that oversees your experience from start to finish to make sure you're successful academically and extracurricularly. And then the bottom, of course, I know this is very important to my international students, is market readiness and employment. And those are our career coaches. Every student works with their career coach one-to-one, regardless of what program you're in, and regardless of country of origin or visa-seeking status, to have a successful employment outcome. Next slide. I'm going to talk first about the accounting program. We have one of the top programs in the United States. We've had the #1 CPA pass rate, 17 out of the last 20 years. It's open to all majors, and we have 3 distinct tracks. Next slide. This is what the cohort looks like this year. So again, I talked about large to Wake Forest, but small to us. You'll see in the upper left bubble, only 106 students, excuse me, but yet 162 universities represented, 13 majors, 31 international students. And then there's the class profiles, and we call double deacons. Those are students that have stayed at Wake for their undergraduate experience and stay for their master's year. Most of our students do come in right out of undergrad, but we do have some who've maybe worked a year or two and want to reset their career with a master's, and those students are always welcome too. Next slide. This is what the curriculum looks like in MSA. I'm not going to go through all these curriculum offerings, but the big thing I want to mention is analytics. We have more analytics in our master's program than most other accounting programs in the United States, and that's because the market has said that analytics is so critical to successful MSA and accounting, public accounting careers. Next slide. These are the 3 tracks. We have a tax track, an assurance track, and a track unique to Wake Forest called Financial Transaction Services, and that's for students that want to pursue careers in investment banking, M&A work, or fintech, among other things. So it's not just all about public accounting. Next slide. I talked about the learning tracks. FTS, as we call it, is the most popular now. Next slide. And these are just 2 different pathway options to pursue, which they're fairly self-explanatory, but some students can opt to do the program in 2 semesters, and then some will opt to do the 3 semesters, where they get what we call here in the United States a Big 4 internship with Deloitte, EY, KPMG, or PwC. If students have questions about these semester pathways, you're always welcome to contact me. My contact info is in the last slide, and I believe that our partners here today will share that as well. Next slide. We can go over this one as well. We can skip this one. And these are some of the companies that hire at Wake. I mentioned the Big 4, of course, and then some other splendid national and regional firms. And it's also important to share that these employment outcomes include international students as well. Every student, as I said, gets full career support regardless of country origin. So our international students tend to have excellent outcomes. Next slide. Okay, and I talked about how it's not just about investment bank, and it's not just about public accounting. You'll see lots of other banks and investment firms, and even financial accounting if people want to go into a corporate accounting role. You really work with your coach to see what your path is, and then you get that match. Next slide. Now I want to talk about the Master's in Management. This is our experience for non-business majors, so students who have pursued liberal arts. It's very similar if you look at the curriculum to the first year of a US MBA program. Next slide. Here's the cohort here, and I really want to draw attention to 2 things. We have 126 students, 21% of our students are international, but over in the lower right bubble, I have an arrow here. This is really important. A few years ago, we started a pilot called the International Leaders Programs, where international students, and it's just for international students, pursue the MSM in their first year, and then they stay at Wake Forest and pursue the MSBA in year 2. It has been so successful, we now enroll about 17 to 20 students per year to do this 2-year experience. We've also had students now who've wanted to do MSA to MSBA, so they can do the accounting program, then the business analytics program, and get both of those degrees in 24 months. So there's 2 ways to do the International Leaders Program now. I also am the lead on that, so if students have questions about ILP, I'm your guy. Next slide. This is what the curriculum looks like. Again, our programs start in the summer, so July starts and then following by May finishes, 37 credits in 10 months, so immersive experiences. The big things in MSM is we're trying to integrate a liberal arts major to prepare them with critical business domain Sorry, I just got a text that distracted me. I apologize. I'm going to turn my phone over. With critical business domain knowledge. So you see coursework in accounting, finance, marketing, IT, analytics, of course. Analytics is woven through all our programs. And then at the bottom, we have graduate consulting projects all the way through. So experiential learning is a benchmark of your program experience in MSM. Next slide, please. These are all the things you get out of an MSM curriculum at Wake Forest. So you see some things you might expect, right? A master's program, Excel, but then some things you might not expect. Data visualization, survey designs, design thinking has become really large in the business space as well. Next slide. And then we also have the opportunity to specialize in 3 tracks in the program. You can take a marketing track, a healthcare track, or strategic resource management, which focuses on things like people want careers in finance, human capital, consulting, advisory consulting, and technology. You do not have to opt into a track. It's totally optional. We offer them in the spring semester for students that want to specialize a little bit more. Okay, next slide. And then I talked about the MSM to Mba Advantage. For a student that graduates from the MSM in 1 year and then goes off to work, you can return within 5 years as a second-year MBA student at Wake. Now, historically, you had to either be in our Winston-Salem campus or Charlotte, North Carolina campus. We now have an online MBA, so no matter where you are, you can come back as an MSM alum and get your MBA in 1 year, either from behind your keyboard or here on one of our campuses. Next slide. I talked about ILP. We have so many wonderful ILP students and alums, so it was really hard to just pick 2. But Yan Fu, also known as Ian Lee, went to undergrad here in the States, studied math, did his MSM program, and then stayed to do MSBA in the ILP, and he's now working in the US. Okay, I'll keep moving. And I believe you do share this deck with students after, right? Okay, perfect. So then we can go past Zoe. She's another fantastic ILP
student. They can download the whole PPT.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so then we can go ahead. These are the pathways I talked about for ILP, the MSM to MSBA or the MSA to MSBA. First year MSM or MSA, second year MSBA, your spot is guaranteed in the second year. And then I included some information about OPT eligibility. Next slide. Career support, I talked about. We have exceptional career support services. They're both part of your curriculum, and then you have a career coach in each program. And these are just some of the things. And the last button in blue is a hot link to the Ready 7 website to tell you all the amazing things to do. And I'm not just saying this because I work at Wake Forest. You can ask any students or alums. Our career services support is exceptional and very student-centric. Next slide. Just some MSM careers. We can continue through this as well. And for time, we can just go right through MSBA real quick too. I want to be sensitive to the time. Class mix, very competitive program. MSB curriculum. We currently have a huge wait list right now in this program because we would love to take as many students as we can, but as I mentioned, we cap our program sizes. Next slide. And great employee outcomes here. Again, salaries are a bit higher for analytics students. I don't think that's any surprise either in the US or in China, given the demand for analytics professionals. Next slide. Some graduate student organizations. We welcome students from all around the world and all around the US. So you'll see a lot of our organizations are internationally student focused, like the ISA, but then also oftentimes our international students take leadership roles in our other student orgs as well. Next slide. How to apply. I mentioned some upcoming deadlines. The MSBA deadline is passed. The MSA deadline is coming up quickly. April 1st. Students who still want to do MSM or the MSM ILP pathway have until May 1st. Next slide, and it should be my last slide. Yep, that's it. There's my contact info. I have double checked my characters and I've been told they're correct.
Cool. And yeah, because it's like we don't have much time, so everything is going so fast, but the students can come back and download the whole PPT. Yeah.
Wonderful. And the students are welcome to contact me.
Sure.
I'm on WhatsApp or via the other information here.
Okay, so now we're gonna quickly jump into the Q&A session, and before I already have the students ask about 1 second. Okay, he's saying, what should I do if my language score didn't meet the requirements?
Okay, so I'm assuming he's talking about his TOEFL or his IELTS score. When you apply, though, we have something called a Cure Review video link. Regardless of where your score is, he would get that video link. We also assess the video performance because we know at times that the TOEFL or IELTS are not totally indicative of communication flow. So if that student is really worried and has submitted an application, I would encourage that student to email me directly.
Cool. And then the next question, the student asked if they have any problem need to solve or they want to find the help where they can go for.
Is that when they're in the program?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned the ISS staff person. That person oversees your entire experience. And again, our cohorts are small, so our programming experience is high. But whether it's international student support, domestic student support, our ISS person in one of our programs happens to be from Wenzhou, so she's very familiar working with our international students as well. But yes, or even my team, we work with the students all the time because we're often the ones that know them the best because we work them through the application experience.
All right, awesome. Okay, so John, thanks for your awesome sharing. And so that will be all for your session today. And thank you so much. Have a nice day. We will see you next time.
Great seeing you again. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. 好，非常感谢我们 John 老师为我们带来的精彩分享。然后接下来呢，我们要邀请到第二所学校的招生官老师上台，他是来自 Fordham University 的招生官 Lawrence 老师。Let's welcome Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence.
Good morning, or good evening.
Yeah, okay, you can just start it.
Excellent. Thank you all for joining me this evening. My name is Lawrence Murray, and I am the Dean of Admissions at the Gabelli School of Business at Fordham University in New York City, Manhattan in the United States. Next slide, please. Today, I am here to chat with you a little bit about some of our specialized master's programs. As you can see here that we have a wide variety of specialized master's programs covering various sectors and industries. We've got our analytics component, we've got our business technology, our finance group tends to be very popular with our global finance and quantitative finance programs, our management vertical, which includes media management and a master's of science in management, and then finally our professional services vertical, which includes professional accounting and professional taxation. You can see here the vast majority of our programs are STEM designated, which means a stronger content around data and analytics. And it also means that international students receive some additional work authorization. So instead of 1 year, international students who successfully complete one of our STEM programs will receive 3 years of work authorization. Next slide, please. In addition to what you're learning in the classroom, we also believe in developing a well-rounded student. It's part of the fabric of who we are. Part of that is our leadership certification. This is something that all students have the opportunity to go through in any of our graduate programs. It's about developing you as a leader. If you look at some of the indicators of employment success, self-awareness and leadership development and interpersonal communication skills are attributes that employers are looking heavily on when they're hiring students right out of university programs. So this program is designed to help you develop those skills. As you can see, it includes a leadership assessment, a series of simulations, coaching, and the opportunity for leadership networking. Next slide, please. And while you will definitely get a rigorous and highly industry relevant experience in the classroom, we recognize that students come to business school to get a job. And so here is just a sampling of the employers that our career services staff used to work at where they came from. So as you can see, we have a team of about 15 people. These are the companies that they used to work at. And as you can see, it's pretty strong. Next slide, please. In terms of our career services office, We've got our one-on-one career advising workshops and group seminars, on-campus recruiting. That means something a little different now in COVID, because we don't have groups coming on campus. It's all virtual recruiting, but we've actually expanded the number of companies and the types of companies that we're able to engage with, or our students are able to engage with through the virtual engagements. We have corporate information sessions every week. A different company, several different companies come and present who their company is and what types of opportunities are available. We understand and recognize that the interview plays an important component in a student achieving career success, whether that's a internship or it's a full-time job. So we spend a lot of time helping students develop their interview skills. Next slide, please. Here are some of the companies that represent where students go. As you can see here, this is a sampling of a wide variety of firms, again, in a wide variety of sectors and industries. Next slide, please. We are in Midtown Manhattan in New York City, still the center, the economic engine of the United States, and definitely one of the economic engines of the world. And so while the coronavirus has definitely impacted the entire world, this is still a place where students have enormous opportunities given our history and our alumni base here in the New York tri-state area. As you can see, there's nearly 10,000 Gabelli alumni in the New York tri-state area, 40,000 alumni, Gabelli alumni around the world, and nearly 200,000 Fordham University alumni around the world. So lots of opportunities to get connected with people who are dedicated and passionate about helping you achieve your career goals. Next slide, please. In addition to the leadership development and what you're learning in the classroom, there are some additional outside of the classroom activities that we hope that you take advantage of. We have more than 20, and actually this slide's a little outdated. Now we have 25 student organizations. You can see here a sampling of those organizations. We've got Fordham Women in Business, the Fordham Finance Society. So we have programs or student clubs and organizations that are career related, that are based on specific groups of people, and then some are just for fun. We also have a table tennis group as well as a European soccer group. So lots of opportunities to get engaged. We have an expectation that students are going to come and not just study in the classroom, but they're also going to get involved outside of the classroom. Next slide, please. Here are our application requirements for all of our programs. They're very similar. Your resume, your transcripts. We are now a test optional school, so it is now your choice if you want to submit the GMAT or GRE, with the exception of our specialized master's program in quantitative finance. That still requires a GMAT or a GRE. As you can see here, we provide several options for the language competency exam. That is still required if you're coming from a country where English is not, or your instruction is not in English. The TOEFL, the IELTS, the Pearson Test of English, and the Duolingo English test. And all of these now have options for online delivery. So you're not just restricted to in-person language competency tests. And we have essays, recommendation letters, and then the vast majority of our students are invited for an admissions interview. And this is an opportunity for the admissions office to get to know you a little bit better and for you to learn a little bit more about the Gabelli School and your particular program. Next slide, please. Here are our deadlines. This is pretty self-explanatory. Our next deadline is our round 4 deadline, April 9th, and then our last deadline is June 11th. As you can see here, there's still plenty of time for students to choose whether or not they would like to pursue one of our degrees. After June 11th, it becomes incredibly challenging for an international student to make it to the US. So if you don't think that you're going to have your application ready by June 11th, you can contact one of our admissions officers and we can talk you through some options. Next slide, please. Here are the tuition and fee costs. This is actually very self-explanatory. There's a hot link there that'll take you right to the website. but as you can see, we charge per credit. So all of our programs have a different number of credits. For example, the Master's of Science in Business Analytics is 30 credits, and our Master's of Science in Quantitative Finance is 42 credits. So depending on the program and the number of credits, will determine how much the full tuition and fees are. Next slide, please. We do offer generous scholarships at the time of admission, so there's no additional application necessary. We will actually review all applicants that completed applications for scholarships. Scholarship awards range from $15,000 US to $35,000 US for the duration of the program. We also offer graduate assistantships. This is something that you apply for once you've been admitted as a student. And then we have continuing student scholarships, and then we partner with a variety of organizations for international student loans. Next slide, please. Here are some different ways that you can get engaged with us before you submit an application. We have a virtual tour, actually several virtual tours, one-on-one and small group chats. This is all on our website. We have a variety of different opportunities for you to see some small video clips about students and their experiences. That's also on our website. Workshops, seminars, and then you have the opportunity to meet current students and events. So current students and alumni. If you go to any of these links, it'll take you to the event section of our website where you can pick and choose the engagement opportunities that most interest you. Next slide, please. Some of the things related to COVID-19, we decided to make the GMAT and GRE test optional. This was an experiment last year, but it became very valuable. And we've now made this a more permanent response. And so, again, all of our programs are test optional, except our Master's of Science in Quantitative Finance. We've lengthened our deadline process. So now we go all the way out into June, as you saw from our deadlines. We've made a significant investment in educational technology and instructional design. For over the past year, it's been hybrid. So those students who are in person can take courses in person. And if you are in a place where you couldn't get to the United States, then you could still take those classes online. And in some cases, you're able to do both if that's something that applied to you. We have very strong health and safety protocols, and that includes on-campus density reduction. For fall of 2021, we will be in person. We will still have strong health and safety protocols, and there will still be opportunities for students who might not be able to join us to join virtually, but our plan is to be in person for fall of 2021. Next slide, please. Here are the contact information for the graduate admissions and recruiting team based on the programs. You can reach out to any of them. Their emails are there. Next slide, please. And here is our WeChat. You can reach us through WeChat as well. We've got a pretty extensive WeChat presence as well as a Chinese website. So you can find all the information about the deadlines, student testimonials, and information about our programs by following this link. And I think now we're ready for questions.
Yeah, great. Thanks for your awesome sharing. And now we're going to jump right into the Q&A session. And I already have the students ask so many questions. They're waiting for you to answer them. Okay. So the first one will be, what are the most popular majors in our camps?
So we don't have majors, we have degree programs. So I think the more popular degree programs are global finance, are quantitative finance, and business analytics tend to be our larger programs, and they tend to be a little bit more popular. But we also have a lot of interest in programs like our general management program for students who don't come from a business background, as well as media management. But I'd say our top programs are global finance, quantitative finance, and business analytics.
Cool. And the next question is, where do students live, in or outside camps?
Great question. Students have the option to live on campus, or they can choose to live off campus. These are graduate students. The vast majority of them choose to live off campus. And so in fact, the off-campus housing will be a lot cheaper now in COVID, significantly cheaper than living on campus.
All right, so the next question is there any Chinese restaurant in or near the camps?
Yeah, so I would hope that when you come to the U.S. that you want to explore lots of different food types beyond the food type that you're accustomed to. But yes, we're in New York City. There's a strong sort of Asian influence in the city, and that means that there's no shortage of very, very strong and good authentic Chinese restaurants.
All right, great. Okay, thanks for your great sharing today. And so that will be all for your session. We will see you next time. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you. Have a nice night.
Bye. 好，非常感谢 Lawrence 老师为我们带来的精彩的演讲。然后呢，我们接下来要邀请到今天上场的第三所学校。第三所学校的招生官是来自第三所学校的招生官，稍等啊。是来自 Singapore University of Social Sciences 新加坡新月社科大学的关老师。Let's welcome 关老师。嗨，关老师，你好。
你好，谢谢主播。那我现在开始了，好吗？
可以。
好的。同学们晚上好。我是新加坡新月社科大学关冲市场学副教授目前在我们研究生处做副主任。那下一页，谢谢。那今天主要给同学们介绍一下我们3个研究生课程，然后同学们有什么问题呢？随时可以在讨论部分提出。那首先给大家介绍一下我们大学的这个使命和核心价值观。我们大学的使命是提供终身教育，使其更好的为社会做服务。那我们核心价值观非常注重学习精神以及社会责任。好的，下一页，谢谢。那首先给同学们介绍一下我们的校史。那在1992年，新加坡教育部邀请新加坡管理学院与英国开放大学合作开放学位课程，然后这个就是我们大学最早的起源。在2005年，我们的教育部授予SIM 成立新月大学，当时叫做 Suffolk University， 是新加坡第一所也是唯一一所私立大学。在2006年开始招生。那在2009年呢，教育部开始向新月大学的学生呢提供40%的学费津贴，之后呢提高到55%。这也是唯一的一次教育部向唯一的一所大学在由教育部直接发给津贴的。对，好的，下一页，谢谢。那我们在2012年呢，政府委托粤大承办全日制课程，并且把政府助学金以及学生贷款向在职学生开放。那在2013年呢，政府委托粤大开办新加坡第3所法学院。那法学院学生享有和公立大学一般的同样的政府津贴。在2016年呢，政府提出提案，让新月社科大学正式成为公立大学。在2017年我们获得国会的批准，改制为公立大学，并更名为 Singapore University of Social Sciences 新月社科大学。目前招生人数接近17000，然后有52个本科课程以及21个研究生课程。好的，下一页，谢谢。那我们目前呢，大学有5所学院包括人文与行为科学院、商学院、那丹人力发展学院、法学院以及科技学院。那值得一提是，我们的名誉赞助人是新加坡共和国总统哈利玛女士。那我们的那丹人力发展学院也是以我们的前总统那丹为来命名的。那今天我们主要介绍的3个课程是来自于新月社科大学的商学院。好的，下一页，谢谢。那我们之前也介绍了大概学生人数是17000左右那我们的这个全职讲师和兼职讲师呢加在一起，我们有超过2000位讲师了。 那目前我们在商学院是有接近100位讲师的全职讲师，以及将近400位的兼职讲师。好的，谢谢，下一页。那我们的办学理念呢，是着重养志、养心与养习，注重知识技能、社会意识以及自我指导。好的，下一页。那这里是我们的校园，可以看一下我们的学校的主楼在右图，那左图是我们入口的地方，那大家也可以扫码进入我们的虚拟校园之旅。好的，下一页，谢谢。那我们今天主要介绍的3个研究生课程包括管理学、金融科技以及知识产权与创新管理课程。好的，谢谢。下一页。那我们的课程结构呢，是硕士课程需要修完60个学分，那我们多数的科目呢为5个或者2.5个学分，那学生最短可以在1年内修完我们的硕士课程，最长为4年。那根据硕士课程的要求呢，学生在读期间必须保持至少3.0的平均绩点那大概相当于60%分以上。好的，谢谢，下一页。那接下来呢，我将逐一介绍3个硕士课程。第一个我们需要介绍的是管理学课程，大家也可以扫码进入课程细则。好的，下一页。那管理学硕士课程呢，旨在介绍培养企业高管的技术与知识，为组织的有效管理做出贡献。那该课程呢，主要是培养学生21世纪的知识与技能，包括解决问题、批判性思维、数字素养、沟通技能以及领导技能，同时保持满足可持续发展、社会责任以道德实践的需要。那本课程呢，以商业管理为核心基础，通过与其他新兴课程与领域的互补性和知识交流，那学生们呢可以获得更深层次的最佳实践视角然后做出呢适合职业生命发展周期和的专业选择。那我们的管理学硕士课程呢是有2个方向的，第一个是管理学方向，第二个是呢多个专业方向可供选择。那下一页，谢谢。那我们的管理学选修课这里列出了一些我也不因为时间关系我也不一一介绍。那这里可以给大家介绍的是我们管理学选修课程大概是20到30学分，然后有0到10学分的公共选修课，另外有20学分的专业课程，以及0到10学分的管理咨询项目，这个是一个论文。那这个是我们的管理学方向，共60学分。那其中可以大家同学们可以看到有涵盖于50%的课程，就是管理学方向的课程好的，下一页。那我们这里着重介绍一下呢，管理学硕士呢，我们同学们是可以选修一个专业方向课程的。那专业方向课程呢，我们这里是有同学们任选以下一专业方向，包括数据分析与可视化、数字金融、金融技术知识产权与创新管理、非营利组织管理、职业生涯指导、税收以及人力资本管理等等。那我们可以看到之前的30学分就是管理学课程，加上我们的30学分的专业方向课程，比如说您可以修取这个数字分析与可视化的30学分，加上管理学的30学分，那得到数据分析与可视化的管理学硕士课程。好的，下一页，谢谢。
您这边能看到我们已经更新的 PPT 了吗？现在是金融硕士那可能是稍微有一点点延迟。
没有关系，我就是接着往下讲。那我们接下来主要给大家介绍一下金融硕士的课程。那金融硕士的课程呢，是主要帮助金融从业人员以及其他行业获得金融科技和金融创新的知识与技能。课程的特色呢，主要着重于金融科技与金融创新，更强调技术内容、编程技巧以及实战训练。好的，下一页。 那我们的金融科技必修课程大家可以看到有非常多区块链以及 Python 编程的课程那我们金融科技与金融监管的必修课程呢，也包括比较多，比如说像多链编程大数据云计算以及金融市场金融监管等等的。那好的，下一页。那其他必修课程呢，主要包括比较多的机器学习深度学习以及资产管理的方面那这是一共60个学分的一年的一个金融学的硕士课程。好的，下一页。那这里我们介绍了2个硕士课程，一个是管理学课程，一个是金融学硕士课程。那这两个硕士课程的学费是一样的哈。那我们大部分的课程是5个学分或者 2.5 个学分。那5个学分的课程呢是新币学费是新币2800。那我们2.5 学分的课程呢是新币1400左右那我们总的60个学分呢，一年的硕士课程呢下来大概是34000不到34000的新币这个就是我们的前2个硕士课程的学费。好的，下一页。那接下来呢，我给大家介绍一下我们的知识产权与创新管理硕士课程。那我们好的，下一页。那我们的知识产权与创新管理课程呢，主要是为对以下专业与职业中期人士与设计的，来帮助职业人士过渡到知识产权行业，为专业领域增值建立跨行业的知识产权创新智能，以及实现差异化职场定位。那我们这个知识产权与创新管理硕士呢，可以使毕业生具备在创业周期的各个阶段有效的应用和实践知识产权法以知识产权管理的技能。那我们这个知识产权与创新管理的硕士呢，是与新加坡知识产权局合办的一个项目。那这个课程费用是46000新币左右。好的，下一页。那我们知识产权与创新管理硕士的课程呢，有15学分的必修课，包括知识产权法等等以及资产管理。那另外有15学分的选修课另外是比如说特许经营、品牌研发、技术评估专利课程等等。那这是我们7月学期的课程。那在1月学期的课程呢，我们有知识产权信息、知识产权情报、知识产权许可以及最后10学分的选修课，就是当代专利法包括当代专利法创新估值等等。那其中我们有6门课呢是日间授课，其他课程为晚间授课。那这边大家也可以看到我们有一些选修课并没有列出来，因为我们选修课非常多。那所以这3个专业的选修课呢，大家可以到我们的网站上具体查询那我们大部分的知识产权与创新管理硕士课程的课程呢，都是5学分的。好的，那我们下一页那我们讲一下入学资格。那申请人必须持有院校颁发的本科文凭以及同等学历。那本科文凭如果不是英语授课的大学颁发，那当申请人申请我们大学的时候呢，是需要满足英语语言能力要求的，包括雅思6.5以上或托福580分指考以上。那以上成绩必须在申请时2年内取得。另外呢，申请人还需参加1次或者多次的面试或者入学笔试那我们目前的这个如果您有社会服务或者志愿服务的申请人呢，那请把这些经验也写在您的申请当中。这个是同学们可以在申请当中更加有优势。那如果申请人在修读金融硕士课程的申请金融硕士课程的过程中呢，如果在本科或者是在本科课程中没有完成统计课程呢，那申请人可能需要修读多一门统计的预备课程。 好的，那下一页。那我们的报名截止时间是31号这个月这是我们7月入学的时间同学们还有一点点时间，所以呢可以尽快提交申请。那如果有什么问题呢，可以联系我们。那下面是我们的这个微信公众号，还有我们的联系的一个 email 的地址好的。
好，非常谢谢关老师今天给我们带来的精彩的这个分享然后我们现在呢也是直接进入到问答的这个环节，同学们也是对我们的学校非常感兴趣，有非常多的问题，我随便选几个。说的是学校附近的小镇或者是社区怎么样？
我们的学校其实是离这个国大和都比较近，大家可能对国大比较熟悉也是在新加坡的比较偏西部了哈。那其实如果去比较大的地铁站或者是购物中心，大概是坐巴士不到10分钟的路程，然后如果是打车到市中心，大概也是15分钟的路程。
OK， 好的。那我们下一个问题是，老师，咱们的学校的中国学生多吗？有没有中文老师然后用中文授课这样的？
我们目前没有用中文授课的课程，但是我们以后是有开发这个中文课程的这个计划的。
OK， 然后最后一个问题我们现在学生的稍等。同学们聊的比较多 ，OK， 毕业生的就业率有多高呀？
我们目前研究生没有具体统计，因为我们研究生的很多课程是在职生和全日制生一起上课，所以我们目前没有统计。那我们本科生的就业率是可以达到94%左右的。
OK， 好的，非常谢谢关老师今天给我们带来的精彩分享。然后呢，同学们如果对我们的学校感兴趣，也不要忘记添加老师的个人联系方式。好了，那关老师，谢谢，我们今天就到这儿了，
谢谢，
再见。
再见。
好，非常感谢关老师为我们带来的精彩的演讲。然后接下来我们要有请到今天上场的最后一所大学 Suffolk University 萨福克大学的 Scott 老师。Let's welcome Scott。Hi, Scott.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
We're great. Okay, you can just start it.
All right. So yeah, hey everybody, my name's Scott. I'm a graduate admissions counselor at Suffolk University, which is in Boston. And next slide. So here's a beautiful picture of our downtown campus. I've been with Suffolk for 3 years at this point. I need to update that. And I love helping international students. So please reach out to me. Nicole is in the chat. We're happy to help you. So next slide. So some facts about Suffolk University. We're a mid-sized institution. Our total enrollment for graduate students is around 1,200. And we have a lot of international students, so you will not be alone when you come to campus. We also have a lot of women on campus, and that's partly because our faculty just happens to be quite a bit of women, specifically in business. And over 50% of our faculty in the business school are international themselves, with many being from China. So again, you will not be alone in a new city with no one to relate to. We were founded in 1906, and we really emphasize practical learning and experiential learning. So rolling up your sleeves and actually engaging with the material as opposed to just learning about it. So next slide, please. In terms of accreditation, we are accredited by the major U.S. federal accrediting bodies. And I think the important one to note is the AACSB accreditation, which is the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business, and that's an international accreditation. I think something around 300 schools have that accreditation around the world. So it's something that we're proud of, and it gives you an indication that we teach to a global scope, and part of that is having global citizens in the classroom and teachers as well. Next slide, please. So this is obviously a map of the United States, just so you can orient yourself to where Boston actually is. So we are in the northeast of the country, right above New York. So Fordham is about 2 hours away on a train. And next slide. As we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see New York a little to the south, and then Washington, D.C., which is where our federal government sits. That is also within a train ride. So this is a very connected area all along the eastern border of the United States. And it does get cold, but we also have all 4 seasons. So the falls are beautiful, the springs, now I'm starting to see flowers bloom, which is nice. So it's an added benefit. Next slide, please. And this is downtown Boston. So each of the little yellow dots is one of our campus buildings. So we are woven into the fabric of the city. You can see the financial district to the right-hand side. That has the major accounting firms, major financial firms. And Boston is in the top 3 cities in the United States when it comes to sort of financial services and capital ready to be invested, capital holdings. So if you're interested in business, you will be well positioned. Also, if you're interested in politics, Beacon Hill is where the city government sits, the state government, and Government Center is where the city government sits. So we are sandwiched in between all of these big institutions, and that's part of why we are able to leverage those experiential learning opportunities. And end to end, it's a pretty small campus, although it's not walled. So it's about a 10-minute walk. So it's nice being able to see politicians, businessmen, your professors, your peers, all walking throughout the city. Next slide, please. So as I've mentioned multiple times, we're really big on experiential learning. So that includes flash consultancy projects and having you do internships and practicums. We have all these firms right next door, so it just makes sense to have us really engaging with them. Often our faculty are consultants, so they work with these firms already. And I've found in my MBA program, those flash consultancy projects to be incredibly insightful and really boost your confidence and really validate your process. Also, as mentioned, global in scope. So it's an internationally rooted curriculum. We're not just going to teach you about United States, situations and things like that. We understand it's a global economy, more increasingly a global society. So teaching through that lens is very important to us. And it's outcome based. So we're not a massive institution. We're able to really focus on what your goals are, whether it be to stay in the United States, to go back to China. Really, as long as we know what you're interested in, we can help you reach that goal. And we have really solid career services to help you connect with alumni in the city and abroad as well, since we do have so many alumni around the world and in Boston. Next slide. So Boston is very well known for finance, as I mentioned, but also technology and healthcare. Having MIT and Harvard in the city, right across the river in Cambridge, which is about a 20-minute walk, it it lends to quite a few startups, different organizations that we are able to work cooperatively with. And the intersection of these clusters, so financial technology and biotechnology, are very popular as well. So if you're interested in those areas, Boston is a great fit, and specifically Suffolk being right in the middle of all of this action. Next slide. I'm getting a little circle. I don't know if it's showing on your end. It might be lag on my end.
Yeah, I think it's a lag issue, and here is a 50+ programs, and yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we have a lot of programs, and they're split between the business school and the College of Arts and Sciences. You know, it's really a matter of pedagogy. The business school is more process oriented. There we go. And the College of Arts and Sciences is a little more theoretical in learning sort of why, whereas the business school is how I usually explain that. Now, that being said, both are very applied and keep with that Suffolk pedagogy of getting your hands dirty and getting you experiential learning. So we can go to the next slide. So I like to mention these dual degree options with MBA because they are, they allow you, the STEM designated programs allow you to get additional OPT and stay in the country without sponsorship for longer, 2 additional years for a total of 3. And when you do a dual degree with the MBA program, it only increases your studies by a semester. So it is often worth it, especially for international students. Next slide. So the Suffolk MBA, it has a lot of concentrations, 16 of them. So you don't have to declare concentration, but these are the most popular ones: corporate finance, finance technology, business intelligence is actually STEM designated as well. So you do not have to do a dual degree as long as you do the MBA with the concentration. You can get that STEM designation. Next slide, please. And travel seminars are built into the MBA curriculum, so you don't pay extra. They are included. You go over with faculty to any of these cities. And next slide, please. So in terms of financial aid, you do not have to apply separately. If you're admitted, it will be included in your decision letter, and you will have a dedicated financial aid counselor. So you'll have one person that you can go to for all of those questions. And next slide. So again, Boston is our campus. We're right in the middle of the city. Lots of culture, lots of great food, including Chinese food. We have a pretty large Chinese population here. And really lots of theaters if you're into theater as well, and sports, history, we have it all. So I think that's my last slide, and I'll close it up there. Yep, so there's my contact info. Please reach out to me. We can meet one-on-one. I'm happy to help you, and we will waive the application fee without a problem for attending this seminar.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for your awesome sharing. And so now we're going to jump right into the Q&A session. And before that, we do prepare some few questions. And the students want to know, they really want to know about this. So the first one will be, what is the admissions progress like?
Admissions, yes. So each program is a little bit different. That being said, nearly all of our programs do not require the GRE, so you don't have to worry about that. We can accept unofficial transcripts, And for the business school, 1 letter of recommendation, as well as a goal statement and a resume. So it's pretty streamlined and it's all done online, and I can help with that process.
All right, great. And another student asked, what's the most popular major in our camps?
I think MBA is our flagship program, followed by business analytics, which is very popular now. And our newest program, actually, we built it out of market needs in Boston, in the world. So yeah, certainly business analytics and MBA are sort of 1 and 2.
Yeah, great. Okay, so the last question the student asked, what is the employment rate for graduates?
Yeah, great question. That's sort of the bottom line, right? And so our last data is from 2018, and that I think we're waiting on 2019. And with that, 93% or around there were employed in their fields within 1 year. And additionally, the average salary was $100,000. So it was pretty good, I would say. And I can get more firm statistics if they reach out to me.
All right, great. Thanks for your great sharing today. So we will see you next time. This will be all for your session today.
All right.
Have a
Thanks,
nice
everybody.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 好，非常感谢我们 Scott 老师为我们带来的精彩演讲。然后呢，我们今天的4所学校全部的分享到这里就结束了。也是因为时间的关系呢，我们没有办法和每一位老师呢进行更深一层的交流。如果大家对我们的学校哪一所学校感兴趣的话，也欢迎大家去下载我们老师的 PPT 和我们的老师取得更多的联系。最后，非常感谢大家今晚的到来，希望同学们也可以继续关注我们未来的云展活动。好了，今天就到这里了，大家晚安，让我们下次再见，拜拜。